All right, today we are diving deep into the ideas from Greg McKeown's incredible book, Essentialism. Look, this is for anyone out there who feels like they're just constantly drowning, overwhelmed, overcommitted, stretched way, way too thin. So if you're ready to finally stop living life on default and start living it by design, you are in exactly the right place. So let me just ask you this right off the bat. Do you ever feel busy, but not actually productive? You know the feeling. Your calendar is a nightmare, your inbox is a disaster zone, you're always running around, but when you finally collapse at the end of the day, you realize you haven't made any real progress on the things that actually matter. It's the classic trap of the insecure overachiever, and man, is it exhausting. You know, the author Tim Ferriss actually asked Greg McKeown about this, and he used this amazing metaphor. He asked, how do you center yourself so that you don't just end up feeling like you're in the washing machine? And that image, wow, it's so perfect, isn't it? It just perfectly captures that feeling of being tumbled around by all these demands and tasks completely out of control. It's just chaos. And that state, that feeling of being in the washing machine, well, it has a name. It's called the non-essentialist trap. And it's exactly what happens when we live our lives by default, just reacting to every single email, every request, every urgent fire drill that pops up, instead of actually consciously choosing where to put our focus. Think about it like this. The non-essentialist, well, they scatter their energy. A little bit here, a little bit there, trying to do 1,000 different things at once. And what do they get? Like a millimeter of progress in a million different directions. But the essentialist, they do the opposite. They focus all of that same energy on just a few vital things. And that's what leads to huge, significant breakthroughs. Really, it all boils down to your mindset. The non-essentialist is trapped by these phrases, right? I have to do this, it's all important. But the essentialist, they flip that script completely. They recognize their own power to choose. They say, I choose to. And they operate from this core belief that, you know what? Only a few things really matter. And that simple pivot from have to choose to, honestly, it changes everything. It's the exact moment you reclaim your power, your agency. It's how you go from just letting life happen to you to actually designing the life you want. It's about being the one who decides where your time and energy go. And look, there's a real urgency to this. McKeown puts it perfectly. If you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. I mean, just let that sink in. It's a pretty stark warning, right? If you don't decide what's important, the world is more than happy to decide for you. Your boss's agenda, your colleagues' projects, your family's expectations. Believe me, they will fill up every single empty space you have. So this all leads us to the 3 core truths that are basically the bedrock of the essentialist mindset. Okay, first up, I choose to. Simple but powerful. It means you have agency. Second, only a few things really matter. Not every opportunity is a golden ticket. And third, and this one is the real game changer, I can do anything, but not everything. You have to embrace the reality of making strategic trade-offs. Okay, so we've got the mindset down, but how do we actually find those vital few things when we're surrounded by just endless noise and distractions? Well, this is where we get practical. We're moving from theory to the actual tools an essentialist uses every day. All right, here's maybe the most powerful filter you'll ever use for a new opportunity. Instead of asking, should I do this? You ask, is this a hell yeah? And if your gut reaction isn't that overwhelming, jumping out of your seat yes, then the answer has to be a simple, clean no. To put some numbers on that feeling, McKeown gives us the 90% rule. It's simple. Imagine you're scoring any new option on a scale from 0 to 100. Here's the trick. If it's not a 90 or above, you treat it like a 0. You just reject it. This is so brilliant because it saves you from all those meh commitments, the 60s and 70s, the good enough stuff that silently eats up all the time you could be spending on the truly great things. And here's an even more structured way to apply this. Okay, you're looking at a new opportunity. Step 1, write it down, get it clear. Step 2, list 3 minimum criteria. These are the absolute must-haves. And step 3, list 3 ideal criteria. These are the things that would make it a total home run. Now, here's the rule. If it doesn't meet all of the minimums and at least 2 of the ideals, the answer is no. Period. It's simple, it's clear, and it's decisive. So, figuring out what's essential, that's one half of the battle. But the other half, and let's be honest, this is usually the harder half, is actually getting rid of the non-essential stuff. This takes some real courage, especially when you have to start backing out of commitments you've already made. But to do that, we have to totally reframe what the word no means. Saying no isn't about being mean or unhelpful. Think of it this way. Every time you say a graceful no to something that isn't essential, you are freeing yourself up to say a huge, powerful yes to something that really matters. It's a strategic trade-off, not a negative act.
But why is it so hard to quit things? Well, a huge reason is something called the sunk cost bias. You know that little voice in your head, the one that whispers, "But I've already put so much time into this. I can't just stop now." Even when you know deep down it's the wrong path. We do this all the time. We stick with bad projects, bad investments, even bad relationships, all because of what we've already put in.
Okay, so to break free from that mental trap, you need to ask yourself a totally different question. Don't focus on what you've already spent. Instead, ask yourself this. If I was not already involved in this, how much would I be willing to sacrifice to get into it today? And you'll find that a lot of the time, the answer is not much at all. And that right there is your signal that it's time to cut your losses and uncommit. All right, so you've figured out what's essential, you've started cutting out the rest. Now what? How do you actually execute on the important stuff consistently? The real key is to make it effortless. And you do that by building smart systems and routines that basically put your most important work on autopilot. See, the non-essentialist tries to go for the home run every time. They try to brute force these huge wins, and what happens? They burn out fast. The essentialist, on the other hand, is much smarter. They focus on creating a chain of small, incremental wins. They know that it's the consistent, tiny steps forward that build up into massive momentum over time. And this isn't just a nice idea, it's backed by a ton of research. Turns out, the single most powerful form of motivation is just progress, feeling like you're moving forward. So the goal isn't to tackle some giant project in one go. No way. The goal is to figure out the minimal viable progress. What is the absolute smallest step I can take right now to move forward? You do that, and then you celebrate that win. It's that simple. And get this, some studies suggest that up to 40% of our daily choices aren't really choices at all. They're just unconscious habits. Think about that. Almost half of what you do every day is on autopilot. And that is why building the right routines is so incredibly important. A good routine makes sure the essential stuff gets done automatically, so you don't have to burn through your limited willpower to make it happen. So how do you actually build these powerful routines? Well, here are a few key tips. First, look at your triggers, the things that kick off a certain behavior. Change the trigger, change the habit. Second, make it a non-negotiable rule to do your most important thing first thing in the morning, before the chaos of the day takes over. And finally, and this is crucial, just tackle one new routine at a time. Don't try to change everything at once. Focus on one until it's completely automatic. Because when you get right down to it, essentialism isn't just a collection of productivity hacks you pull out every now and then. It's a total, fundamental shift in how you see and interact with the world. It's not something you do, it's something you become. So let's end with the one question that is the absolute core of essentialism. A question you can carry with you everywhere. No matter what decision or challenge you're facing, just pause for a second and ask yourself, what is truly essential right now? And then find the courage to eliminate everything else. Just take a moment and imagine what you could do if you really lived that way.